Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, where now you can use promo code DNVR at sign up and get some super special offers like how a $5 bet on any winner in this year's NBA playoffs can get you $150 in free bets. You clinch no matter what there when you use code DNVR on DraftKings Sportsbook. We are your hosts, Patrick Lyons.
I'm Suzie Hunter.
And we've got a lot to get to today on Monday's show. We're going to preview the Phillies series, talk about who's exceeded some expectations here for the Rockies, figure out who's going to win the NL West based on the first week of interesting news and notes, and I have a little bit of a road trip banter, especially based on an article that you wrote recently, Suzie, about two Rockies players who were trapped in a car together. And I think trapped is the appropriate word.
I think trapped is pretty appropriate to say, but they made the best of it. We're going to get into it later, though.
Oh, we will. We will. Yeah, let's talk about the Rockies. We are a Rockies show. We are. We're also a baseball show, too. We're one of the top 100 baseball shows.
Congratulations to us.
Congrats to us. That's
yes.
right. 96 right now in top 100 baseball shows in the U.S. Only 196 in baseball shows in Great Britain. So we're sorry about that. Oh, no, that's for our Canada. We're trying to boost our Canadian numbers.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Hopefully I don't have to go to the loo at some point in the middle of our show. Is that do anything for our numbers? We're at 195.
We're going to find out.
In Great Britain in baseball. But we're a Rockies show, so we're going to talk a little bit about Rockies who have exceeded expectations. Now, overall, the team, depending on where you looked or who you talked to, we know on DraftKings Sportsbook, their over-under number was 68.5. Seems like an easy over.
That's insulting.
Yeah, and there were really only, I think, Chris Bryant and Germán Márquez on players that you could have bet season-long totals for strikeouts or home runs, MVP race, Cy Young Award, things like that. So in general, everyone else was just kind of lurking about the middle as just average-type players. And, we have some expectations, fans have some expectations, but there have been some players who've kind of jumped out there already in their early going, and you say, you know what? This guy's been a little bit better than advertised.
Yeah.
So you advertise for a guy to be really good, and maybe they're even better than that. So take us through your list, starting with number 5.
Oh, I'm starting with number 5 and working up.
We got to tease it.
Yes. Okay, fine. Yeah, because I've got a short list of guys who have exceeded my expectations. Okay. So Justin Lawrence is at my number 5 spot.
Ooh,
Justin Lawrence. So I feel like he is not talked about enough. He was supposed to start the season at AAA. So
he did, right?
He actually did. He did start this. He went all the way to Albuquerque. But yeah, he has allowed 1 run in 6 innings. He's pitched 5 games already this season. So I just think he's off to such a great start.
I like that. Yeah. Outside of Daniel Bard, who obviously they've needed him in all those save opportunities. In fact, he's only come in save opportunities because these games have been so close. Has the 4 saves, did have the 1 blown save. He's got 5 appearances. So does Justin Lawrence. So that lets you know how important he's been to the bullpen for how much Bud Black has had to point that right hand down and go to Justin Lawrence.
Yeah, no, and of course the bullpen has been sneaky good.
Very good.
All right, do you want my number 4?
Give us number 4, yeah.
All right, number 4, Alan Trejo, who came off the bench hot. He hit a 3-run home run in that Cubs game on Friday, and we really needed that. And I also just really like what Bud Black said about him and how him coming off the bench and doing well just lifts everyone up because they see how hard he works, and it makes everyone happy to see it.
And so many of these guys have come up together. Now, granted, Trejo might be a year or 2 behind guys like Sam Hilliard, Jonathan Daza, so they might not have played on the same minor league teams together, but they know each other. They have a familiarity. They've been reporting to camp down in Scottsdale at Salt River Fields for a few years, so they're rooting for those guys. And his addition to this list and what he's contributed, super important right now because Garrett Hampson, that guy that you're looking for at shortstop, second base when you need to give Iglesias and Rogers some time off, he's on the IL right now. So we're going to see a lot more of Trejo, and he's going to have a few more opportunities to continue to exceed those expectations as a guy who may be one of the last players off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my number 3. You ready?
I'm ready.
Ty Block. I did not expect this to be the hometown kid that would impress me so much with this pitching, but he got the win on Friday. He came into that game with bases loaded. He allowed a sac fly, but he really minimized that damage and got the save against the Dodgers last weekend. So overall, I'm just very happy with what he's been doing for us.
So he would have been third on the list of Colorado left-handers on the Rockies behind Kyle Freeland and Lucas Gilbreth. And now, well, he's third again on your list for exceeding expectations, but Freeland and Gilbreth are nowhere to be found, so he does have the top spot
yeah, exactly.
in that capacity. You're right. He's been a nice, surprising story.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 2, Connor Joe, hashtag Joe Flo. He's started in every game. He's been hitting leadoff. He's been productive. I've just liked what I've seen.
Yeah, he's been super strong this year. He's one of those players where you say, well, how could he be exceeding expectations? He was so good last year. Yes, he was. But before 2021, he had a handful of at-bats in the majors. I think it might have been even something like 19 plate appearances in total with the Giants in 2019. So hadn't been able to do it. Hadn't been able to stay healthy and show it. And he did, got hurt, and you go, that might have been his chance, his opportunity. Big question mark, big what if. Mm-hmm. And as you said, playing really well in that leadoff spot, 5 multi-hit games. So he's still exceeding expectations, even though he's doing what you would have hoped in a best-case scenario.
Oh, of course, yes. I hope nothing but the best for him, always. All right, so my number 1, this is also a guy who I'm not saying, I expected him to not be great, but was just not expecting this much. CJ Cron. I was expecting good things. I was not expecting 5 home runs already in this season, and then just 2 in one game the other day. So I'm just so happy with what I'm seeing from CJ Cron. And I love that he's just like, yeah, I can do better. He's like, I'll do better.
I'll hit a little bit further.
He's like a little bit further.
and I appreciate that caveat, or rather your explanation is that this isn't like, oh, here are 5 guys who aren't very good that they're doing well to awesome. It's no, you have certain expectations about what a player is going to do. And when you do better than that, you exceed those expectations. So Cron, you're right. He's kind of picked up where he's left off, but still you go, there's no way he can be as good as he was last year. And so far, he has been. For me, number 5 on my list, we've got a lot of crossover here. Mm-hmm. I got Jose Iglesias. He's hitting 286 right now at the bottom of the order. Most of that did come in his 4-hit game, but I think his defense has been really solid. He's been a guy, I think that's been somewhat of a linchpin in the clubhouse. He really talks about, the chemistry that the team has had and has a lot of positive things to say about guys. He's a veteran player too, so a lot of the guys are looking up to him right now, and so he's contributed offensively, defensively, and scientifically in the clubhouse, chemistry-wise.
Yes.
I just want to keep it going with the trend there. Yeah, he's been good.
That's good. Yeah, you know what? I like that pick a lot too, because I was just like, am I going to put him in my top 5? And I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. He deserves the love.
He just squeaks in there. Also kind of just squeaking in there, I got Chris Bryant. Now, he hasn't torn the cover off the ball, but he's been very consistent. Like, we haven't even seen him play his best yet. Like, I feel like he's just had average games. Granted, that average is 343 right now, second on the team behind only Connor Joe. And he just gives good professional at-bats each and every time. Has been solid defensively outside that one gaffe against the Dodgers in Game 3 where the wind was swirling like crazy. Mm-hmm. His defense has been really strong. We saw some of the issues that Connor Joe had on Sunday where it was a little bit windy again. Mm-hmm. I just think overall he's been as good as advertised, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens when he really starts to go off. And I think in this Philly series, we see that.
Yeah.
This is where it starts for him.
Yeah, it's funny because I know Phillies fans really, really wanted Chris Bryant, so I'm happy that they get to see him on our side.
That's right.
But I just think there have been so many moments this season so far where it's like, oh, this would be a great time for Chris Bryant's first home run. So he has not exceeded my expectations. I have expected more, but I'm not saying he hasn't been a productive member of this group.
That's fair. Did make the final out there on opening day where you go, oh man, this is a wonderful story. 3-run home run to tie the game. Didn't happen, unfortunately, but Justin Lawrence, I would probably also put him on my list too. Mm-hmm. He's not there though, but CJ Cron, we do match up with that. He's number 1 on your list, number 3 on my list, because, and we'll kind of wait and see what happens. I was worried about the injury bug kind of, getting to him, but he's really picked up where he's left off. Started on Sunday in the lead in the National League, 4 home runs, has 10 RBI as well. So he's been really, really fantastic. Can't say enough about him. And Connor Joe is right there. He's number 2 on my list. 14% walk rate, exactly what you want out of a leadoff hitter.
Oh, yes, of course. Great plate discipline. Love it.
And number one on my list for exceeders of expectations would be Ty Block. Now, I say that even though I was the organizer and the one who had scheduled the original block party.
I love
back
that.
in December, before he was even a member of the Rockies, saying, hey, here's some minor league free agents the Rockies should go and kick the tires on. He's a Colorado native. I think there's still something there in the tank. He's just coming back from Tommy John surgery. Again, on a minor league deal, that you can't really pass that up. You need that kind of depth, and he's been great. He's got one win. He's got one save, hasn't given up a run yet in 5 2/3 innings pitched, and has been solid. And I think because with those 4 innings that we ended up seeing on last Sunday in Game 3 against the Dodgers, I'm wondering if the Rockies are kind of waiting in the wings with him as the long reliever, but also as a guy who maybe at some point in the season they could stretch out to be in the starting rotation. So I don't even know that we've even seen maximum Ty Block just yet. We'll see.
I'm trying to think of more block puns.
More block
puns,
yes.
I love Block Party.
Well, he did have the MVP chain. You could say he was wearing a block chain. Well, we're going to work on these.
You're very quick with puns, but we've got nothing but time.
Yeah.
It's a long season.
Too much time.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
We haven't hit the best one yet. That's for sure. And we've got Charlie Blackmon, Bud Black, Ty Block. It's a cluster. It's too many.
There's a lot of opportunities for tongue twisters over here.
And a lot of opportunities for the Rockies to continue their winning ways as the Philadelphia Phillies. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah. Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, perfect. You nailed it.
Philadelphia Phillies coming to town here. They are 4-6. They just came off of a 1-3 road trip against the Miami Marlins, who, much like with the Rockies, the Phillies have trouble when they go down to Miami. Playing there against the Fish. And so, Phillies are figuring a couple things out. They've got a lineup that's really, really solid, but they haven't been able to put it together just yet.
Yeah, they're in a little bit of a rut right now, and I don't think coming to Coors Field is necessarily going to help them either, because they don't really play well at Coors Field either. So yeah. I have pretty high hopes for the Rockies this week.
Pitching matchups should be today on Monday, Aaron Nola versus Chad Kuhl. On Tuesday, Kyle Gibson versus Kyle Freeland. Battle of the Kyles.
Kyle versus Kyle.
Hadn't thought of that.
Gonna put some Monster Energy drinks in the...
I like it. And then on Wednesday, Zach Eflin versus Germán Márquez in the day game. We'll, of course, have a post-game show there here at the DNVR Bar on Wednesday afternoon, where if you're a member, you do get a member-sized beer. Breckenridge Brewery, Good Company hard seltzer if you want to go for a can, whatever it may be. You can tap into all that and more. If you're a member, you also get price breaks on tailgates, party bus, whether it's Nuggets, Avalanche, whatever it may be, extra raffle tickets at any of our watch parties, which we have going on all week long. In fact, Monday night tonight, Nuggets and Warriors. It's going to be popping off.
It's going to be
as usual
popping
for
off.
Monday night too.
Yeah,
it's still going to be rocking in a major way. Remember, it's only 50 cents for your first month. And if you actually want an annual membership, you're going to get a free shirt at the DNVRlocker.com. Getting that member-sized beer. Could be a Breckenridge Brew. Could be that Avalanche Ale. Or, again, a Good Company hard seltzer, which is fantastic. Do you have a favorite flavor? You honeydew? You go black cherry?
I am black cherry all the way.
Yeah.
In all seltzers, but especially Good Company.
Especially, yeah. That would be good in a blender with some ice, That just is a wonderful summer treat.
That's a summer treat. That's a great idea.
Cooking with Breck Brew. That could be a segment.
Are we going to make a cooking show? Do we have a kitchen
We may
in
have
here?
to. We may have to with all our various sponsors. We'll come up with interesting little food options. But you can pick up your Good Company hard seltzer just about anywhere. King Soopers, Safeway, Costco. Get that 15-can sampler. Coolest part, too, about what they're doing is they do donate part of their profits to the National Parks Conservation Association to help with prevention of forest fires. If you're at home and you're having difficulty watching the Nuggets, Avs, or Rockies, have no fear because Evoca TV has got your back. Go to evoca.tv/DNVR. 0 hidden fees or contracts. We're talking $25 per month plus a receiver, and your price is locked in for 2 years. You never have to worry again about missing out on the Nugs or the Avs with Evoca TV. Again, that's evoca.tv/DNVR. And Use code DNVR and you actually get $10 off your first 3 months. So now we're talking $15 per month.
That's so
for your
much
first
savings.
3 months.
That's insane.
Savings, yeah.
How is that legal?
Now someone's gonna look into it. Susie, you had to ruin it.
No, Susie, don't say that.
No, Evoca TV does advertise on AT&T Sportsnet, so it's pretty legal.
It's legal.
We'll
it's
just say
legal.
Pretty legal. No, it definitely is. So Phillies 4-6 right now. Come to Coors Field. It's weird how, especially because you're talking about a team that's not in the same division as the Rockies, but they're going to play the Phillies for 3 games here. They're going to go to Philly for 4 games next week. And then just like that, Phillies are off their schedule for the next 5 months. It's just kind of strange how that works out. Rockies are not going to see Zach Wheeler, who pitched on Sunday. Not so well, but he didn't face live hitters all throughout spring training. Again, it's one of those weird wrinkles of this shortened spring training. So his spring training is similar to what the Rockies and all the other 29 teams are dealing with. Pitchers are going out there, they're on a pitch count, a very strict one. They usually are in some sense, but right now it's incredibly strict because we know the season is already a marathon, but now maybe it's an ultra marathon because you just got to stay healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I feel like we're still in spring training for these pitchers,
That's true. It is, and that's the reason why spring training is 6 weeks long. It's for the pitchers. It's not for the hitters.
Yeah.
Some of the hitters, Buddy even said, some guys can get ready in 10 days. Like, it's that quick. Chris Bryant said he only needs about like 45 at-bats against live pitching. And that even includes going out on one of the backfields to face live pitchers, which, they did in spring training. And so even that. So you could even, load it up and have 6 at-bats every day. Do the quick math, and in a week, literally a week, 6 times 7, 42, you're ready to go. So you can get ready that quickly for a hitter. But the pitchers, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so we'll see today how Chad Kuhl does in his first start as a member of the Rockies at Coors Field, because he did at least once before with the Pirates. So this will be a good test for him, for Mr. Delaware.
Yes, for Mr. Delaware. I love that nickname. I'm glad it's catching on with us.
I talked to him yesterday briefly about his finger. He said it was fine. It's something that's happened before. It's really, and this goes back to pitchers being ready, his middle finger isn't calloused enough. So it's not necessarily how he cuts his nails, because that was something that bothered me when I pitched a little bit. Sometimes on my middle finger, the pressure I put it on the inside of it, where that would happen. It's not that big of a deal. You don't notice it that much, but once his finger calluses up, anything that's acidic, pickle juice is one of those things. You put your fingers in pickle juice to kind of get it to harden up. Some players, I won't get too graphic, but there are other acidic substances that can also be used in the shower that you can rub on your hands and use, that I've spoken with numerous people before. And as someone who did some indoor bouldering for a period of time and enjoyed it, it works. Those methods do work in callousing up your hands.
I can't breathe right now.
Yeah, well, you can go ahead and ask Chad Kuhl about that after the game if you want. About
how do I word that question?
Yeah. What's the secret to callousing your hands?
I don't know if I want him to answer that.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't think I even want him to answer that either.
I don't know if we're on that level, me and Chad Kuhl.
But there are tricks. There are tricks. There are tricks to the trade. One guy who's struggling at his craft right now is Kyle Schwarber, who is certainly not the prototypical leadoff hitter. Big burly guy, beefy boy.
Oh, thick with 2 C's.
He's a beef boy.
Yeah,
he is. But a good leadoff hitter. Great on base percentage. Knows how to draw a walk. He's not going to steal a base for you, but he's going to get on base. Similar to Connor Joe, where you look and go, well, that's not a guy that's going to be able to take second base. No, but it is a guy that's going to be able to get on first base 50% of the time. So you like that trade-off. Right now, Schwarber, though, was removed from the leadoff spot on Sunday. He was in the midst of a 1-for-28 slump. Bad fifth on Friday and had a 2-hit game there. So Phillies trying to figure out their lineup. They don't have that solution yet. JT Realmuto was even batting leadoff on Sunday. So it's weird to have a catcher hitting leadoff.
Yeah.
That's a bit abnormal. Rockies had Elias Diaz batting cleanup. That was only like 8 catchers in Rockies history have ever hit cleanup for the Rockies.
Okay, I'm guessing you can name all of them.
Maybe.
I'm guessing you could. Encyclopedia Patrick could name most of them.
I couldn't. Well, William Rosario did it about 54 times. Ramon Hernandez 3 times. Actually 4 times. 3 times for Dustin Garneau and Charles Johnson. And so Elias Diaz right there with 2. He did hit once cleanup last year. So that's kind of this interesting rarity that we're going to have. So could see some unique lineups between the Phillies and Rockies. And then Alec Baum, we're thinking from some of my sources, he could go back to third base after that 3-error game that had him talking ill of the hometown crowd.
Yeah, so that was just, everyone was kind of talking about this just because, I mean, Philly fans have a reputation for their intensity. But yeah, sure. Alec Boehm, after his 3 errors in 3 innings, said, "I effing hate this place." And, that's not anything that someone from Philly hasn't said about Philly. So I'm like, it's fair. And he's getting booed. It's a tough situation to be in. But then afterwards, in an interview, he was like, "I didn't mean it. Like, I was just emotional. And, like, I love Philly. And Philly respected him owning up to that." Yeah. And he got a standing ovation the next day. And I'm like, I feel like I haven't seen anything like this.
That is really cool. Like I love that he owned up to it in that way. And then Phillies fan, that's like turning a corner as a fan base and as a city. That's interesting. I don't know if that will be a big thing. And Alec Baum, he had a good rookie season in 2020, got some Rookie of the Year award votes. I think he was still even eligible for NL Rookie of the Year in 2021, which is kind of strange. And he fell a little bit flat last year. So he's not like this uber prospect that, hey, the city's trying to rally around and support. So that being said, again, I think it could be an interesting turning point for Philly fans if maybe they're like, they have a little more self-awareness. I'm like, you know what? Let's root on our guys and let's cheer them on rather than to be so quick to boo them. I think they still will do that.
Yeah.
But then we might see more of the rebounding and like, okay, we gave you the business last time, but we're now letting you know we do love you and why we had to punish you, right? Why we had to boo you. Okay, now go out there and do your best and cheer for you. And so I don't know, that's an interesting little story to follow.
It's a little bit of character growth for the Philly fan base.
Yeah,
they're probably thinking, okay, we can't run everyone out of town.
No,
we'll have no one left.
We are the city of brotherly love. Maybe we should act like it.
Maybe.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this again next week when the Rockies are in Philadelphia. There's going to be something else going on.
There's always something going on in Philly. So yeah, we'll have no shortage of things to talk about, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's get around the league with the NL West with a little segment we like to call, for the first time ever, Why the West Was Won. Not how the West was won, but why the West was won. And so we're going to look at the other 4 teams in the National League West and kind of determine from a couple interesting facts, figures, statistics, if this is going to be indicative of whether or not the team is good or not. So we'll start with the Dodgers, who are 7-2. Good fit, by the way. Good fit.
Thank you. Yeah. So if you're watching, you will see that I have put on a cowboy hat because we're talking about the West, and I love a prop. So yeah, here we are. You need to get on board next time we do this.
Well, I haven't gotten a haircut since before the pandemic, so I'm also doing the same thing, generally speaking.
Oh, no? Yeah. You went with wild hair for the Wild West.
Not. That's it. I look like I have horse's hair, which is a cowboy thing. I don't know.
It's a cowboy thing.
Man, I got to buy a cowboy hat now.
Yeah, I'll look around next time I'm at the thrift store. I'll see if I find you anything.
Make sure
because we don't have a budget for props yet.
Yeah, Febreze that thing, please.
I cleaned this. I've had this hat for a while. I've worn it a bunch. It's been cleaned, I promise.
Looks sharp. All right.
No one needs to be concerned.
So Dodgers 7-2. I mean, there's not much to say other than, Andrew Heaney is a guy to look at right now. Made 2 starts. Was a guy they actually signed before the lockout. On Sunday, 6 innings pitched, no runs, 11 strikeouts. And you go, who's Andrew Heaney? Well, he used to be a pretty big prospect for a while, Marlins, Angels, and he's with the Dodgers. And I know it's only 1 start, but I think I think the Dodgers have figured it out again. They've got yet another guy that's going to be annoying that they pick up out of the blue, reclamation project that revitalizes his career. And so, despite some of the questions about the Dodgers rotation, Andrew Heaney is going to be a dude for them now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's their division to win or lose,
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're the favorites. Everyone knows it. It's just like we're all just like along for the ride.
We're
That's
living
what
in
it
the
feels
Dodgers
like.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're 7-2. Like if anyone, like Rockies are 6-3, and you go, hey, is that an indicator of something? Well, it's an indicator of a good 9-game, period of time. And again, you can hope on it, but the Dodgers being 7-2, you go, okay, that's what's expected. So they're going to be okay.
Yeah. You know who else is 7-2?
Who?
The Giants.
Ah, yes. San Francisco Giants, also 7-2, tied for first place in the NL West. Is something that jumps out at you that could be indicative of whether they're trending up or they're trending down right now through the first week and a half of the season?
I just have a hunch that they are trending down.
Ooh, okay. Why is that?
Well, first of all, they have Jake McGee. So
wow, shots fired. Okay.
Shots fired.
True.
So that's what are we doing here?
Yeah, he's has a prominent role in their bullpen. It's sad to say, well, maybe it's not sad to say, but it's frustrating to see him have a lot of success. Won the World Series in 2020 with the Dodgers, and then was a part of a 107-win team, most in franchise history for the Giants last year. And here he is again, kind of doing that thing. But he's a lefty reliever. Like, those guys have a long shelf life, and he's been really good. But again, like you said, do you really want to trust that guy? I don't know. I'm going to say they're trending upwards because, and this is a nice little story, Alyssa Nakin, you may have seen over the last week, made baseball history when she became the first woman to appear as a coach in an on-field capacity in a major league game. Now, it came in, a wonky situation, right, where there was a little back and forth. The first base coach had gotten ejected, maybe a little racial overtones or undertones, I should say, there. And so they needed a first base coach. So Gabe Kapler said, hey, Alyssa, go put on that sienna-colored helmet. I don't know what color those oranges are.
That's like a neon orange almost.
Yeah, they're City Connect jerseys.
Those are not my favorite City Connect jerseys. So I'm sad that had to be her debut.
And that's the helmet that's going to the Hall of Fame, too. He says, Gabe said, yeah, go out there and make some history. And she does a wonderful job, and got some nice congratulations. So you like seeing that. But to that, and how that all happened was, the Giants broke a couple of those unwritten rules, quote unquote. And after the game, Gabe Kapler didn't back off from it and said, that's kind of part of our strategy. Is we if we can dominate and we can maybe steal some bases, even if we're up by more than 7 runs, in the final 3 innings, whatever it may be, that's advantage. We're in the first game of a series here, so if we can get deeper into your bullpen, that could lead to more wins in Game 2, Game 3, or Game 4 if it's a 4-game set. So this could be really interesting trend that we could see going forward, where if you don't just, have a, what do they call it? What do they call a TV episode that only takes place in one? It's a bottle episode.
Okay.
It only takes place in like one location. So you say, one game is just a bottle. So, all right, let's go through the motions. Let's end the game. So be it. And then tomorrow, we'll pick back up where we left off. No, actually, if we can dominate enough, you got to use another guy in your bullpen, overexpose him. Now your hitters are getting to see that guy and facing him, getting a little bit more comfortable in the box, and that could lead to an advantage in Game 2, 3, or 4. And so that kind of thinking, it's a little analytical, right? It's a little sabermetric wise.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens if more teams pick up on that, but the days of the unwritten rules are really starting to go by the wayside.
Gabe Kapler's an interesting dude, but I like how he was like, it's not disrespectful, it's just the best way to win a series. And what I think he said something along the lines of, if you guys want to do that to us, go for it. Be our guest.
That's true.
Yeah. He said, bring it.
Very true. Like Mrs. Potts, be our guest.
Be our guest.
Was she the first one who said that?
Probably. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Lumiere sings that song.
Whoa, all right. Lumiere sings it. You're right. I just said who said it first.
Listen,
but you're right. You could be right.
I'm just a cowboy. I don't know anything about Disney movies.
I'm going to say Kale was correct on that. And the first ever Beauty and the Beast reference on the DNVR Rockies podcast. This is the content that's put us in the top 100 of all baseball programs in the United States of America.
This is what is skyrocketing us to the top right now.
That's it. And what's going to skyrocket you to sleep is one of Optimal's Fast Asleep gummies. Get them at Lightshade, Colorado's premier dispensary. They've got the solution for you. if you're up late at night with the Rockies and you probably aren't stressing about the bullpen quite as much as normal, but nevertheless, all you got to do is take one of these bad boys. It's got 10 milligrams of CBD, just a hint of THC, enough that's going to get your eyelids feeling heavy in about 5 to 15 minutes. And in 0 minutes, you can order your very own Wana Optimal's Fast Asleep Gummies at lightshade.com and get 25% off with code DNVR. Use code DNVR at any of Lightshade's 11 Denver metro area locations. Padres are 6-5. They are right behind the Rockies. It's crazy again. Week and a half into the season, Padres have already played 2 more games than the Rockies. They haven't had an off day yet.
Look at them on that grind.
They are grinding.
What are they, minor leaguers?
It must be. So the number that, I'm still so torn with them because I think they're very suspect, but I'm going to say they are trending upward for the reason that they did win on their home opener against the world champion Atlanta Braves, 12-1 victory last Thursday. So even despite not having Fernando Tatis Jr. and, having a lineup that's solid 1 through 9, but doesn't have anyone that really scares you with Tatis being out, they're figuring those things out. So I think they are trending a little bit more upward than anything.
I must be like just a negative Nancy on everyone. I'm going to say the Padres are trending downward.
Okay.
First of all, speaking of downward, I don't know if you guys saw Tatis was playing soccer on the field before yesterday's game. I'm not quite sure why, but he slipped and fell on his good wrist.
What?
So he's just out there being reckless, I'm like, you're going to break something else or you're going to mess up the one you already broke.
Wow.
So I don't know. I think they're trending down. But, they do have a few of our old relievers.
It's true. A lot of Colorado natives. They have as many as the Rockies, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, so they've got Taylor Rogers, Pierce Johnson, and Steven Wilson. So they've got 3 Colorado relievers.
Look at that. So they're stealing the Rockies strategy. So maybe that's means they're trending upwards.
Maybe. But then again, so I've talked to you about this. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but Eric Hosmer is having a baby in September.
Yes. So what does that mean?
So he's going to be super distracted.
Yeah,
and
some people believe that.
And I think he's going to have a lot of free time in October to help take care of that baby.
Yeah, when you've got that kind of stuff going on, it would be interesting to see if you could even break it down with like first child versus the second child versus like the 8th. And by that point, you're just like, just text me when that baby gets born. By the time you're on 8, I imagine you're just on text status. I don't know. I'm at 0, so.
Well, this is his first.
So he'll probably be there.
Yes, he and Casey McDonald are having their first. She's a Philly girl too, so I adore her. So I wish them the best, but I don't think Eric Hosmer is going to be crushing it this season.
I'm looking forward to all of our WAG content for our WAGs,
the
wives and girlfriends of the baseball players. Casey McDonald. That's the name?
That's her name. Yeah.
Look at that. The more you know.
I've been following her career for a long time. She was on TV in Philly, which is where I'm from. If I don't know, you guys didn't know that.
It's okay because on Sunday I referenced New Jersey 5 times after not, I think all season long. It's just kind of one of those things that came up. Phillies are in town, so it is fitting.
It's appropriate.
I think we'll agree. So we've kind of Giants and Padres. We haven't agreed on which way those teams have been trending, but I think on the D-backs we might be on the same page.
We can all agree on this.
I'm gonna say trending downward because although the Diamondbacks don't really have too many big name players right now, the guys they are relying on, they're bread and butter players. That's not a thing, but I think we know what that means. Are getting hurt. Luke Weaver on opening day, was pulled during that start. Nick Ahmed, who's great defender, very light in the batter's box, but nevertheless, he's on the IL. Utility infielder Josh Rojas, JB Bukowskis.
What a name!
Not to be confused with Charles Bukowski. Not a baseball player, just an interesting author. And an outfielder, Jordan Luplow, who, the D-backs, I think, were relying on him to be a nice little platoon player. And, he has some good numbers. He's okay, but all those guys on the IL. So, shoot, if things are going to trend upward, you need your best 28 and eventually 26 best players on the roster to do those things. And right now they don't have their best 28 players. So, they're trending downward.
You know what they do have? Did you know that Ollie Perez is still around?
I kind of had overheard that, and I was like, nah, that's probably not real. Maybe he just tried out for somebody, but no, he signed on with Arizona, right?
Yeah, so this is his 20th MLB season. He just made his 700th appearance. He's 40 years old. A miracle.
It's a miracle. Yeah, he missed a year too, so he could actually be in his 21st year. Like there are guys who are on that roster who were like 2 and 3 years old when he made his major league debut.
That's insane to me.
And the fact that they've got room on their roster for a guy like that lets you know somewhat where they are at as a team overall. So they're kind of trending downward, and ultimately that is why the West was won, and a little bit of how. Pew, pew, pew. Pew.
This was great.
This was good. All right. You wrote a good story.
Let me take this hat off now.
Because
we're not talking about the West anymore. Well,
would you have a hat for this segment too?
I don't have a hat. I don't have a road trip hat.
Let me read my notes. Road trip banter. Okay. So you wrote a good story, really good story.
Thank you.
You can check out on the DNVR.com. Remember, only 50 cents for your first month. About interviews with both Robert Stevenson and Lucas Gilbreth.
Yeah.
About, they're down in Albuquerque right now. They're on the COVID IL, which sounds worse than it is because they're playing baseball even though they're on the COVID IL. And, well, I'll let you spill as many beans as you would like to kind of set the scene because it's pretty wild.
Well, yeah, so it's been like 10 days. So, like, they are allowed back in the clubhouse and all of that. So, yeah, they both tested positive for COVID the day the team was flying back up to Denver from spring training. So they were just like, oh, gosh, like this sucks. Like we're stuck in Arizona. What are we going to do? But Lucas Gilbreth was like, let's go up to Denver. I've got a facility where we can just like stay active and, keep throwing and all of that. So they decided to go on a road trip. They drove, it's like a 12, 13 hour drive from Scottsdale to Denver. So they like switched on and off. And Lucas was telling me like, we like spend a lot of time together. We obviously talk a lot, but they just like talked for like 9 hours straight.
Wow.
Stevenson had the playlist going. He was the DJ. So it's just, they have like a delightful little road trip, which I think is just so cute.
That is somewhat of a rom-com, like, or
it's a buddy comedy.
I guess it could be a buddy.
Yeah.
Well, hey, why not? It could be some rom in there.
Yeah.
Instead of a budcom.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
No.
All right. It's same. It's they're both in love with the game of baseball.
Yeah.
So in that capacity.
Oh, baseball is the love story, you guys.
And that's a beautiful drive, but probably if we're optioning it as a movie, we'll have to set it where they're going maybe through the south a little bit and then the northeast, because like pretty much that's almost 12 hours going from New York down to Florida. So you're hitting that whole coast and all the different personalities and areas. So
you see a lot in 12, 13 hours of driving.
So in the midst of working and writing for DNVR and DNVR Rockies and writing your book, you also need to get the script going from this buddy comedy.
All right. I will talk to them about getting the rights to that.
That's it. Yeah. Man, road trips are fun. Not when you have COVID and you're stuck in a car with someone else that he's a colleague, coworker.
Yeah.
But that is as an interesting road trip.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think Lucas was feeling fine. Robert was feeling not so fine, but they were in it together. They're feeling better now. They're all good. They
were quarantined. I mean, man. Yeah, I think they did it all in one day. So like they didn't even.
They did it all in one day. Yeah, because like I was saying, like I have done that drive. I did that drive a couple of weeks ago, and I break it up into 2 days because that's too much driving for one person. But for two people to split it, off and on, they made it happen. They powered through.
Now, would you rather?
Oh
wait, no, that's your line.
All right, so yeah, a good road trip game is Would You Rather. So I'm going to do a little Would You Rather.
Okay.
Keeping with the road trip theme. Okay,
road trip edition.
Would you rather road trip to all of the teams in the AL West or the NL West?
Just because Oakland's in the AL West, it's still basically San Francisco. It's NL West. I mean, we did a show with Drew Goodman in the offseason where we drafted the road trips, and the first thing I had on my we talked about this over dinner at the ballpark with a couple other people, and it's like LA, San Diego. The Rockies go there twice a year, and so you have all these opportunities to go, but it's still very, very pleasant. So LA, San Diego, San Francisco is fantastic, and then all right, we'll do with Phoenix. Phoenix is nice. as long as it's not in the middle of the summer and there's not a haboob going on. So I'm gonna go that route. Either way, you get LA, right? In both divisions. You kind of get San Francisco Bay Area in both divisions. Seattle.
See, that's the thing. You're missing Seattle if you pick.
But then the 2 in Texas, so that's okay. I think I would stick with NL West. I don't know.
I mean, this is, a game of opinion, but that is the correct answer.
Yes. Let's go.
There's only one correct answer there.
It's true. I think that's probably the best in all of baseball, too, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Centrals are centrally located, so they're an easy, I don't even have to run through all the different cities to make sure I'm not missing anything. So, maybe the AL East is okay. Tampa,
this is my next question.
Okay,
though.
sorry.
So relax.
I drove
Pump
down the road. Okay, here we go. I drove past the exit and said, "Hey, come on, let's keep going." All right, go ahead.
You're off the road right now. All right, so next question. Yeah, would you rather road trip to all the AL Central or all of the NL Central?
Okay, we got Kansas City, Minnesota, Chicago is going to be for both. Detroit and Cleveland. So then in the NL, we got Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. Oof. I just heard an audible throat clearing from producer Kale there.
I feel like all of the noises I'm hearing, there is not enough love for the Midwest.
Can I say AL West? Because I didn't pick AL West on my last one, so I'm gonna say AL West.
What a missed opportunity.
I think I might actually go AL Central.
Interesting. Cleveland,
yeah,
I don't want to hear anything about Cleveland. Cleveland is one of my favorite ballparks. I love the ballpark and the city, unironically. They are great.
You're getting good barbecue. You go to the Negro League Museum.
Yes, which is incredible. Cool. Highly recommend.
Haven't been to Target Field yet. I saw a baseball game at the Metrodome, which was odd to say the least. And so I haven't really explored Minneapolis. Oh, yeah. RK's got me rethinking this Cleveland-Detroit business. But Cincinnati, no. PNC Park is awesome, but Pittsburgh closes at about 7 p.m. on a Saturday night.
But Pittsburgh is a beautiful city.
It is.
It's a beautiful city, and that is a phenomenal ballpark, truly one of the best.
If you get an off day, maybe check out the Warhol Museum. Andy Warhol's from that area, so you can get the artistic vibes going there. But at least you get Chicago at some point.
Yeah, no matter what, you're getting to go to Chicago.
And Detroit's kind of on the come up, so it's like a hipster. I'm going AL Central on that one.
Okay. I'm going NL Central on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not as definitive though, right?
It's not as definitive.
Okay.
I'm just surprised at all of the Midwestern disdain in this room right now.
And maybe the workaround too could be when you go to Milwaukee, you can just drive back to Chicago that night. And so double dip on Chicago, and that could flip it. You're right.
I actually had to do that when I went to Milwaukee. I don't know why there was nowhere to stay. I don't know what the heck was going on in Milwaukee when I was there. But I went back to Chicago.
The first big road trip I took with my dad where we saw 4 games in 4 days, that's what happened, where night game in Milwaukee, day game into Chicago. And it was like, wow, we're going to see 2 games in 24 hours, doing some day drinking, was in 2-3 cans already by that point, by noon. It was like, this is pretty good. This is pretty good.
I love that.
That's fun.
I love a baseball road trip. It's very on brand for me. All right, one more for you.
Got one more? Okay,
yeah, if you know where this is going, would you rather road trip all of the AL East or all of the NL East?
I would probably, DC, I think gets the edge over Baltimore. Right? You have both in New York, but Bronx, a little closer to Manhattan. I think that's a notch above the chop shops in Queens, but still same general area. Boston, man, I went to Fenway once, and I don't know, Boston's intimidating. It's an intimidating town. I haven't been there in 15 years, so I would be interested to go back to find out. But Tampa as a city seems okay. No? I mean, maybe I'm just hanging out on the beach. Maybe I'm going to Dunedin or Clearwater.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually doing Tampa properly. But I kind of have the feeling I might go AL. I mean, who am I missing in Philly? Okay. I think that's pretty close too. But I'm actually going to go, but then you got Miami.
For me, he's so excited. He's injured himself.
Nobody record that and put that on online as I whack myself in the face.
Don't make it into a GIF.
Yeah, God forbid, don't.
Don't do it.
NL East. I'm going NL East.
I agree with you on that. In terms of the New York teams, I like Citi Field significantly more than I like Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, this new one, is very sterile, and it's filled with Yankee fans.
You do have to deal with that.
And they're a nightmare. I've never, there's always stuff going down whenever I go to Yankee Stadium.
This is true.
There's always someone who's like trying to ruin everyone's night.
Yeah.
Miami is a lot of fun.
Better than Tampa.
Everything
Agreed.
is better than Tampa. I think Tampa is one of the most off-putting ballparks. It's
as city-wise, I mean, Miami's got a lot more culture than Tampa Bay.
Exactly.
Although Tampa does have at least one Wawa that I know of.
No knock on Tampa.
Yeah.
And I represent Wawa country all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's very important to me. Very important to my heritage.
Yeah, I think we agree. DC has the edge over Baltimore, and so really all we're talking about is Baltimore.
I don't agree because
Philly.
I think Baltimore. I love Camden Yards. I think that's a great ballpark.
Yeah, it is. City-wise, though.
But citywide, yeah, okay,
that's
all
where
right,
the edge goes.
I see
so
where
then
you're
you
going,
go Boston, Philly, and even if you give the edge to Boston, I think the NL East has enough other wins over the AL East. So.
Boston and Philly are both similarly intimidating fan bases.
True.
So,
I mean, Boston has more history, but Philly still has a ton of history.
Philly has so much history.
The original capital of the United States of America, which has decided, it prefers Washington, D.C. as its capital, and it prefers us as the 96th best baseball podcast in the land, USA.
Heck
USA.
yes.
That's us.
That's us right now.
We got a baseball game to go cover now.
We should probably get to doing that.
We have to get to work because we're not at work now.
We're
just having fun.
We just do this for fun.
It's a passion project of ours. Yeah. Again, only 50 cents for your first month at the DNVR.com. And if you go with the annual membership, you get a free shirt at DNVRlocker.com. That can include even one of our 2 new Rocky shirts that dropped. The new Nikola Jokic shirt that just dropped last week as well. So you got a lot of options there. We're going to be covering the Phillies series. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. I'm at Patrick D. Lyons.
I am at the Suzie Hunter.
And this has been great, but you know what they say about momentum? It's only as good as tomorrow's podcast. So we'll talk to you then.